what's some of the first preliminary phases of working with you, and kind of let's have some fun with that one.
Sure. So essentially, the first thing I would do is meet with them and their spouse just to kind of see what is important to each of them. Have the conversation about education. Is that you mentioned kids? So, like, is that a priority for them, or is retiring early a priority for them? If we can't do both, what changes are we prepared to make? Is the other spouse working? What's their income? Does that move our tax bracket? So, all of these are going to be like the first things that are going to come into my mind. And then, working with me, we're going to go through a household budget, because if we don't know how much we're spending, we don't know what's left over at the end of the month. Therefore, we can't figure out what retirement's going to cost. We can't figure out how much money we have access to on a month-to-month basis to put towards these different vehicles. But let's assume we do all that. The next step is going to be figuring out, where does the disposable dollars go? Is it towards their student loans? Is it going to be towards retirement? Are they saving for any big ticket items, new car, a new house, things of that nature? Because if that's the case, as great as these other vehicles might be, putting money towards your loans or putting money into your 401k may not help you get that down payment in 2 years. You know, so those are some things that we're going to kind of talk through. The next question is, where are we going to get more bang for our buck? Is it putting the money towards retirement or the current student loans? And let's assume it is retirement for our conversation. Should they be putting money into the Roth, or should they be putting money into the pre-tax portion of their 401k? So, a lot of the advice that, attorneys will give is that you're in a higher tax bracket, than you will be at retirement, but think about who's giving that advice. It's the managing partner that's in the peak earning years of their career. So yeah, they'll probably be in a lower tax bracket. How does that 20 something year old compare? They're making less money than they probably ever will in their lives. So which way are they going to go? They're probably going to go up tax brackets. Even if they retire, doesn't mean their income is zero. They're pulling money from somewhere, probably their 401k, probably paying taxes on it. So maybe it makes sense for that individual to rip the band-aid off and pay the taxes up front, rather than, doing it in the future. Another thing that's going to come to mind with that 20 something year old couple is, protection planning. Do they have adequate disability coverage to protect if it's a one income household, making sure that that's adequately protected? Even if it's a dual income household, we probably want to make sure that that's the case. Do they have adequate life insurance to protect their family? People think $2 million is a lot of money, but if you break it down, that's $100,000 a year for 20 years. That gets them into their 40s. Is that adequately protected from that perspective? Do they have aging parents that could be potentially living with them, that they're going to be either physically or financially responsible for in the future? If so, how's that going to impact their overall situation? Do they have the proper estate planning documents? Do they figure out who's going to take care of the kids in the event something happens to them? So a lot of different moving parts that we're going to want to address with a young couple. Again, we didn't even talk about investments, but there's just so many other elements of that client situation that we need to address.